Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Right here in the live studios, ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Ashram, just at the foot of Govardhan Hill, right across the street, right on the Parikrama Marg, just outside of Govardhan village. We're here in my room, where I've lived for 25 years. Didn't look like this for 25 years, but once it was all fixed up, this is what it looks like. We welcome you all back, and we're ready to launch into Uddhava's message to the gopis from Krishna, which is a very, very ecstatic, intimate pastime of Krishna, and revealing the topmost ecstasies of devotional service and separation. But before we go into that, we're here for 2 more days, and then on Friday so we'll have 2 more sessions here, and then we'll go up to Delhi, and we'll have sessions on Friday, Saturday, and Friday is the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we'll fly the next day to the UK, and we'll be back in Wisteria Cottage. Excuse me. Okay. So we're feeling separation from Govardhan already, but at the same time, we'll never feel separation from the Bhagavatam, because we'll be with it every day, wherever we are. Okay. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram of Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifies the Srimad-Bhagavatam, gives us food for thought and meditation so that we can better appreciate and go deeper into hearing. Hearing with just more than just attention, but hearing with knowledge and love and devotion, without argument. Okay, Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Yusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidvandoditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Savasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Mareka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Manistadaga Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin Adini chochata kada Hanamuncha gadachin mam Premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
All right. Yesterday we heard the summary of this chapter, the song to the bumblebee, or the song to the bee, whatever you prefer. So now we're going to start with verse 1. Uddhava has come to Braja from Mathura and met Nanda and Yashoda. And they talked about Krishna all night. And they were in ecstasy, and Uddhava was amazed at the quality, the level of love, the depth of the love that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi had achieved. Their minds were completely absorbed in Krishna. They couldn't think of anything else. And then in the morning, after the gopis had gotten up and done their morning ablutions, duties, they saw the chariot in front of the house of Nanda and Yashoda, and they wondered. And that's where we pick up. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, the young women of Braja became astonished upon seeing Lord Krishna's servant, who had long arms, whose eyes resembled a newly grown lotus, who wore a yellow garment and a lotus garland, and whose lotus-like face glowed with brightly polished earrings. Who is this handsome man? The gopis asked. Where does he come from? And whom does he serve? He's wearing Krishna's clothes and ornaments. Saying this, the gopis eagerly crowded around Uddhava, whose shelter was the lotus feet of Lord Uttama Shloka, Sri Krishna. Text 3. Bowing their heads in humility, the gopis duly honored Uddhava with their shy, smiling glances and pleasing words. They took him to a quiet place, seated him comfortably, and began to question him, for they recognized him to be a messenger from Krishna, the master of the goddess of fortune. Purport. The chaste gopis were enlivened to see that a messenger had come from Krishna. As Uddhava will discover during his stay in Vrindavan, the unique gopis could not think of anything but their beloved Krishna. Text 4. The gopis said, we know that you are the personal servant of Krishna, the chief of the Yadus, and that you have come here on the order of your good master, who desires to give pleasure to his parents. 5. We see nothing else he might consider worth remembering in these cow pastures of Braja. Indeed, the bonds of affection for one's family members are difficult to break, even for a sage. Text 6. The friendship shown toward others, those who are not family members, is motivated by personal interest, and thus it is a pretense that lasts only until one's purpose is fulfilled. Such friendship is just like the interest men take in women, or bees in flowers. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains here that attractive women, like flowers, possess beauty, fragrance, tenderness, charm, and so on. And as bees drink only once a flower's nectar and then leave it for another, fickle men abandon beautiful and devoted women to pursue other pleasures. This tendency is condemned here by the gopis, who gave their hearts completely to Sri Krishna. The gopis wanted only to exhibit their charms for Lord Krishna's pleasure, and in the pain of separation, they questioned the motives of his friendship with them. These are the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Both Lord Krishna and the gopis are completely liberated souls, engaged in spiritual, loving affairs. By contrast, our so-called loving affairs, being perverted reflections of the perfect loving relationships in the spiritual world, are polluted with lust, greed, pride, and so on. Like all liberated souls, the gopis, and certainly Lord Krishna himself, are eternally free of these lower qualities, and their intense loving affairs are motivated exclusively by unalloyed devotion. Text 7. Prostitutes abandon a penniless man, subjects an incompetent king, students their teacher once they have finished their education, and priests a man who has remunerated them for a sacrifice. Text 8. Birds abandon a tree when its fruits are gone, guests a house after they have eaten, and animals a forest that is burnt down, and a lover abandons the woman he has enjoyed, even though she remains attached to him. Text 9 and 10. Thus speaking, the gopis, whose words, bodies, and minds were fully dedicated to Lord Govinda, put aside all their regular work now that Krishna's messenger, Sri Uddhava, had arrived among them. Constantly remembering the activities their beloved Krishna had performed in his childhood and youth, they sang about him and cried without shame. Purport. The word balyayo here indicates that ever since their childhood, the gopis had been completely in love with Krishna. Thus, even though social custom dictated that they not reveal their love to each other, others, they forgot all external considerations and wept openly before Krishna's messenger, Uddhava. Text 11. One of the gopis, while meditating on a previous association with Krishna, saw a honeybee before her and imagined it to be a messenger sent by her beloved. Thus she spoke as follows. Purport. Srimati Radharani is referred to in this verse as Kachit, a certain gopi, to establish that this particular gopi is in fact Srimati Radharani. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes the following verses from the Agni Purana. Gopya praprachchu shashi Krishnanu chadam udavam Hari lila viharangscha tatraikam radhikam vina Radha tadbhava sanglina Vasanaya vinamrita Sakibi sabhyadach chudha Vijnana gunajimritam Ijante vasinam vedam Chadamang sha vibhavanahi. At dawn, the gopis inquired from Krishna's servant, Uddhava, about the Lord's pastimes and recreation. Only Srimati Radharani, immersed in thought of Krishna, withdrew her interest in the talks. Then Radha, who was worshipped by the residents of her Vrindavan village, spoke up in the midst of her girlfriends. Her words were full of pure transcendental knowledge and expressed the ultimate portion of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Lord Krishna states, Vedaish Chasarvair Aham Eva Vedyaha. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. To know Krishna is to love Krishna, and thus Radharani, by her own example and words, revealed her supreme love for the Lord. Having quoted the above verses from the Agni Purana, Srila Jiva Goswami also quotes the following from the Nishingatapani Upanishad, Purvakanda 2.10. Yam sarve deva namanti mumukshavo brahmavadinascha. All the demigods and all the transcendental philosophers who desire liberation bow down to the Supreme Lord. We should follow suit. Text 12. The gopis said, "O honeybee, O friend of a cheater, don't touch my feet with your whiskers, which are smeared with the kum that rubbed onto Krishna's garland when it was crushed by the breasts of a rival lover. Let Krishna satisfy the women of Mathura. One who sends a messenger like you will certainly be ridiculed in the Yadu's assembly." Purport. Srimati Radharani indirectly chastised Krishna by chastising the bumblebee, which she took for his messenger. She addressed the bumblebee as Madhupa, one who drinks the nectar of flowers. And she addressed Krishna as Madhupati, the Lord of Madhu. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti points out that this and the following 9 verses exemplify 10 kinds of impulsive speech spoken by a lover. This verse illustrates the qualities of Prajalpa, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the following verse from his Ujjvala Nilamani 14:182. Asuyersya madayuja yo vadirana mudraya priyasyak kaushalodgara prajalpa satukirtyate. Prajalpa is speech that denigrates the tactlessness of one's lover with expressions of disrespect. It is spoken in a mood of envy, jealousy, and pride. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti points out that the word kitava bandho expresses envy. The phrase from sapatnya to naha, jealousy, the phrase mas prisha angirim, pride, and the phrase from vahatu to prasadam, disrespect, while the phrase from yadu sadasi to the end of the verse decries Krishna's tactless treatment of Radharani. Text 13. After making us drink the enchanting nectar of his lips only once, Krishna suddenly abandoned us, just as you might quickly abandon some flowers. How is it then that Goddess Padma willingly serves his lotus feet? Alas, the answer must certainly be that her mind has been stolen away by his deceitful words. Purport. In this verse, Srimati Radharani continues to compare Sri Krishna to the bumblebee, and in her distress, she states that the reason the goddess of fortune is constantly devoted to his lotus feet must be that she has been fooled by Krishna's promises. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti, this statement of Srimati Radharani's illustrates Parijalpa, as described in Sri Ujjvala Nilamani 14:184. Prabhor nidrayata shatya chapal yad jupapadanat swavichak shanata vyaktir bhangya syat parijalpitam. Prajalpita is that speech which, through various devices, shows one's own cleverness by exposing the mercilessness, duplicity, unreliability, and so on of one's Lord. Text 14. O bee, why do you sing here so much about the Lord of the Yadus in front of us homeless people? These topics are old news to us. Better you sing about that friend of Arjuna in front of his new girlfriends, the burning desire in whose breasts he is now relieved. Those ladies will surely give you the charity you are begging. Purport. With the words Agrinanam Agratona, Radharani laments that even though she and the other gopis gave up their homes to love Krishna in a conjugal relationship, the Lord left them and became a prince in the great royal city of the Yadus. Besides meaning Arjuna the victor, the word Vijaya also directly indicates Sri Krishna, who is always victorious in his endeavors. And besides meaning old news, the word Puranam also indicates that Sri Krishna is glorified in the ancient Vedic scriptures of that name. In this verse we observe in Radharani's mood the seed of jealous anger, which arises from an apparent disdain for Krishna, accompanied by a sarcastic sidelong glance directed toward him. Thus this verse fits the following description of Vichalpa from the Ujjvala Nilamani 14.186. Vyaktaya suryaya gudha mana mudrantaralaya agadvishi katak shoktir vijalpo vidusham mataha. According to learned authorities, Vijalpa is sarcastic speech that is addressed to the killer of Aga and that openly expresses jealousy while at the same time hinting of one's angry pride. Text 15. In heaven, on earth, or in the subterranean sphere, what women are unavailable to him? He simply arches his eyebrows and smiles with deceptive charm, and they all become his. The Supreme Goddess herself worships the dust of his feet. So what is our position in comparison? But at least those who are wretched can chant his name, Uttama Shloka. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti states that Radharani's speech, expressing all the feelings of a disappointed lover, indicates an intensity of love for Sri Krishna surpassing even that of the goddess of fortune. While all the gopis are perfectly compatible with Sri Krishna in terms of their beauty, temperament, and so on, Srimati Radharani is especially so. In her forlorn state, Radharani indicates to Krishna, "You are called Uttama Shloka because you are merciful to the wretched and fallen. But if you would be merciful to me, then you would actually deserve this exalted name." Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti further points out that in this verse, Srimati Radharani expresses her spite born of pride, accuses Krishna of being a cheater, and finds fault with his behavior. Thus, this verse contains speech known as Ujjalpa, as described in the following verse of the Ujjvala Nilamani 14.188. Hare kuhakata jnanam garva garbita yashaya. I have to say this again. Hare kuhakata jnanam garva garbita yashaya sayusyash chatarakshepo didayar ujjapa iryate. The declaration of Lord Hari's duplicitous nature in a mood of spite, born of pride, together with jealousy, spoken insults directed against him, has been termed Ujjalpa by the wise. Text 16. Keep your head off my feet. Keep your head off my feet. I know what you're doing. You expertly learned diplomacy from Mukunda, and now you come as a messenger with flattering words. But he abandoned those who for his sake alone gave up their children, husbands, and all other relations. He's simply ungrateful. Why should I make up with him now? Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti, this verse illustrates the qualities of Sangjalpa, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the following verse of his Ujjvala Nilamani 14.190. Soluntaya gahanaya kayapyak chepamudraya tasya krita yatadryukti sanjalpa katito buddhahi. The learned describe sanjalpa as that speech which decries with deep irony and insulting gestures the beloveds. Let me read it again. The learned describe sanjalpa as that speech which decries with deep irony and insulting gestures the beloved's ungratefulness, and so on. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the word adi and so on implies the perception in one's lover of hard-heartedness or an inimical attitude and of a complete lack of love. Text 17. Like a hunter, he cruelly shot the king of the monkeys with arrows. Because he was conquered by a woman, he disfigured. Because he was conquered by a woman, he disfigured another woman who came to him with lusty desires. And even after consuming the gifts of Bali Maharaj, he bound him up with ropes as if he were a crow. So let us give up all friendship with this dark-complexioned boy, even if we can't give up talking about him. Purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada explains the meaning of this verse as follows. Srimati Radharani said to the bee, "You poor messenger, you are only a less intelligent servant. You do not know much about Krishna, how ungrateful and hard-hearted he has been, not only in this life, but in his previous lives also. We have heard this from our grandmother, Purnamasi. She has informed us that Krishna was born in a Kshatriya family previous to this birth and was known as Ramachandra. In that birth, instead of killing Bali, an enemy of his friend, in the manner of a Kshatriya, he killed him just like a hunter. A hunter takes a secure hiding place and then kills an animal without facing it. So Lord Ramachandra, as a Kshatriya, should have fought with Bali face to face, but instigated by his friend, he killed him from behind a tree. Thus he deviated from the religious principles of a Kshatriya. Also, he was so attracted by the beauty of Sita that he converted Shurpanaka, the sister of Ravana, into an ugly woman by cutting off her nose and ears. Shurpanaka proposed an intimate relationship with him, and as a Kshatriya, he should have satisfied her. But he was so henpecked that he could not forget Sita Devi and converted Shurpanaka into an ugly woman. Before that birth as a Kshatriya, he took birth as a Brahmana boy known as Vamanadev and asked charity from Bali Maharaj. Bali was so magnanimous that he gave him whatever he had, yet Krishna, as Vamanadev, ungratefully arrested him just like a crow and pushed him down to the Patala kingdom. We know all about Krishna and how ungrateful he is, but here is the difficulty. In spite of his being so cruel and hard-hearted, it is very difficult for us to give up talking about him. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that this speech of Radharani's is avajalpa, as described by Sri Rupa Goswami in the following verse from Ujjvala Nilamani 14.192. Harau katinya kamitva dautyad asakyarogyata yatra shirshya viyikvokta so bijalpa satam mataha. Saintly persons have concluded that when a lover, impelled by jealousy and fear, declares that Lord Hari is unworthy of her attachment because of his harshness, lustiness, and dishonesty, such speech is called avajalpa. Text 18. To hear about the pastimes that Krishna regularly performs is nectar for the ears. For those who relish just a single drop of that nectar, even once, their dedication to material duality is ruined. Many such persons have suddenly given up their wretched homes and families, and themselves becoming wretched, traveled here to Vrindavan to wander about like birds, begging for their living. Purport. Material duality is based on falsely thinking, this is mine and that is yours. Or, this is our country and that is yours. Or, this is my family and that is yours, and so on. In fact, there is one absolute truth, in which we all exist and to whom everything belongs. His beauty and pleasure are also absolute and infinite. And if one actually hears about this absolute truth, called Krishna, one's dedication to the illusion of mundane duality is spoiled. According to the Acharyas, and certainly in accord with Sanskrit grammar, the last two words of the second line of this text may also be divided. Dharma avinashata, dharma avinashtaha. Then the entire line becomes part of a single compound, the meaning of which is that hearing about Krishna cleanses one of irreligious duality, and thus one is not vanquished, avinashta, by material illusion. The word dina is then given the alternate reading of dhira, meaning that one becomes spiritually sober, and thus gives up attachment to fleeting material relationships. The word bihanga, birds, would in this case refer to swans, the symbol of essential discrimination. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes Rupa Goswami as follows in connection with this verse. Bhangya tya gau chiti tasya kaganam apikedanat yatra sanushayam prokta yad bhaved abhijalpitam. When a lover indirectly states with remorse that her beloved is fit to be given up, such speech, uttered like a plaintive crying of a bird, is called abhijalpa. Ujjwala Nilamani 14:194. Text 19. Faithfully taking his deceitful words as true, we became just like the black deer's foolish wives, who trust the cruel hunter's song. Thus we repeatedly felt the sharp pain of lust caused by the touch of his nails. O messenger, please talk about something besides Krishna. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti categorizes this statement of Srimati Radharani's as ajalpa, as defined by Srila Rupa Goswami. Jaimyam tasyarti tatvam cha nirvedad yatra kirtitam bhangyanya sukadatvam cha sa ajalpa udiritaha. A statement spoken in disgust. A statement spoken in disgust, describing how the male lover is deceitful and brings one misery. I'll read the thing again. These are so important. A statement spoken in disgust, describing how the male lover is deceitful and brings one misery, and also implying that he gives happiness to others, is known as ajalpa. Ujjwala Nilamani 14:196. Text 20. O friend of my dear one, has my beloved sent you here again? I should honor you, your friend, so please choose whatever boon you wish. But why have you come back here to take us to him, whose conjugal love is so difficult to give up. After all, gentle bee, his consort is the goddess Shri, and she is also with him, staying upon his chest. Purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada explains the context of this verse. While Radharani was talking with the bee, and the bee was flying hither and thither, it all of a sudden disappeared from her sight. She was in full mourning due to separation from Krishna and felt ecstasy by talking with the bee. But as soon as the bee disappeared, she became almost mad, thinking that the messenger bee might have returned to Krishna to inform him all about her talking against him. Krishna must have been very sorry to hear it, she thought. In this way, she was overwhelmed by another type of ecstasy. In the meantime, the bee, flying hither and thither, appeared before her again. She thought, Krishna is still kind to me. In spite of the messengers carrying disruptive messages, he is so kind that he has again sent the bee to take me to him. Srimati Radharani was careful this time not to say anything against Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the goddess of fortune, Shri, has the power to assume many different forms. Thus, when Krishna enjoys other women, she stays on his chest in the form of a golden line. When he is not consorting with other women, she puts aside this form and gives him pleasure in her naturally beautiful form of a young woman. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, this statement of Srimati Radharani's expresses pratijalpa, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami. Dustyajya dvandva bhavesmin praptir narhitya nudatam duttasamannane toktam yatrato yatrasa parijalpika yatrasa parijalpakaha. When the lover humbly states that although she is unworthy of attaining her beloved, she cannot give up hoping for a conjugal relationship with him, such words, spoken with respect for her beloved's message, are called pratijalpa. Ujjala Nilamani, 14.198. Here Srimati Radharani has given up her harsh feelings and humbly acknowledges the greatness of Sri Krishna. Text 21. O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maidservants? When will he lay our heads? When will he lay on our heads his guru-scented hand? Thank you. Purport. I think I'll read that verse again. My throat was dry. Text 21. O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maidservants? When will he lay on our heads his guru-scented hand? Purport. The translation and word meanings for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 668. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti writes very poetically, with deep spiritual insight, about the emotions expressed in this and the previous 9 verses. He interprets Radharani's feelings as follows. Srimati Radharani thought, since Krishna was once satisfied in Braja, but left for Mathura city, won't he also develop a desire to leave that place and go somewhere else? Mathura is so close to Vrindavan that it's possible he may even come back here. Krishna is the son of a respectable gentleman, Nanda Maharaj, so he must be staying in Mathura because of his sense of obligation to his father, who authorized his going there. On the other hand, while Nanda's whole life is dedicated exclusively to Krishna, Nanda is so innocent that he allowed himself to be tricked by the Yadus, who brought Krishna to Mathura. Krishna must be thinking, alas, alas, since even my father could not bring me back to Braja, what can I do to return there? Thus Krishna must be impatient to come back here, and so he has sent you, a messenger. It is only because Nanda is so innocent that he allowed his son to leave. If Nanda had allowed Krishna's mother, the queen of Braja, to do so, she would have climbed onto Akruba's chariot and, holding her son by the neck, gone off to Mathura with him, followed by all the gopis. But this was not possible. Ever since Krishna left, Nanda has been stunned by separation from him, and Nanda's treasury rooms, storehouses, kitchens, sleeping quarters, opulent houses, and so on are now vacant. Unswept and uncleansed, they are littered with grass, dust, leaves, and cobwebs. Does Krishna ever remember his father's houses? And does he sometimes remember Subala and his other friends, who are now lying stunned in other neglected houses? The women of Mathura, who now associate with Krishna, cannot know how to serve him in the way that pleases him most. When they see he is not satisfied and ask how they can make him happy, does he tell them about us gopis? Krishna must tell them, you city ladies cannot please me as much as the gopis of Braja. They are most expert in stringing flower garlands, perfuming their bodies with ointments, playing various rhythms and melodies on stringed instruments, dancing and singing the rasa performance, displaying their beauty, charm, and cleverness, and skillfully playing at questions and answers. They are especially expert in the pastimes of meeting one's lover and showing jealous anger and other signs of pure love and affection. Surely Krishna must know this. Therefore, he'll probably tell the women of Mathura, my dear women of the Yadu clan, please go back to your families. I no longer desire to associate with you. In fact, I am going back to Braja early tomorrow morning. When will Krishna speak like this and come back here to place his hand fragrant with uguru on our heads? Then he will console us, saying, O beloveds of my heart, I swear to you that I will never abandon you again and go elsewhere. Indeed, I have not been able to find anyone in all the three worlds with even a trace of your good qualities. Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti interprets the feelings of Srimati Radharani. The Acharya further explains that the present text displays the speech called Sujalpa, as described by Rupa Goswami. Yatrar jabat sagambiryam sadanyam sahachapalam sotkantam chahari prishtam sasujalpo nigadyate. When out of honest sincerity a lover questions Sri Hari with gravity, humility, unsteadiness, and eagerness, such speech is known as Sujalpa. Ujjwalinilamani 14:200. Concluding this section of chapter 47, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti explains that there are 10 divisions of divine madness, divyonamada, which are expressed by the 10 divisions of Chitrajalpa, or variegated speech. Such divine madness is shown in the special pastime of bewilderment, which is itself part of the supreme bliss, Mahabhava, of Srimati Radharani. The Acharya quotes the following verses from Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, 14.174, 178, and through 80, to explain these ecstasies. Prayo Vrindavaneshwaryam Mohanoyam Udanjati Etasya Mohanakyasya Katim Kam Apayeyusha Brahmabha Kapibai Chitrai Brahmabha Kapibai Chitri Divyonmada Itiryate Udgurna Chittajalpasyas Tadbheda Bahabo Mataha Prishtasya Surida Loke Gudharosha Bijimbitaha Buddhi Bhava Mayo Jalpo Yasti Rot Kantitanti Maha Chitta Jalpo Dishangoyam Prajalpa Padijalpitaha Bijalpo Jalpa Sanjalpa Abajalpo Bijalpitam Adjalpa Padijalpascha Sujalpas Chitikirtitaha. It is virtually only within the princess of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, that the ecstasy of bewilderment arises. She has attained to a special stage of this bewilderment, a wonderful state that resembles delusion. Known as Divyonmada, it has many aspects which come and go unsteadily, and one of these manifestations is Chitrajalpa. This talk, induced by her seeing her beloved's friend, is filled with covert anger and comprises many different ecstasies. It culminates in her intense, anxious eagerness. This Chitrajalpa has 10 divisions, known as Prajalpa, Parijalpa, Vijalpa, Ujalpa, Sanjalpa, Avajalpa, Abhijalpa, Ajalpa, Pratijalpa, and Sujalpa. Finally, some authorities say that Krishna himself, eager to drink the sweetness of his beloved's speech, assumed the form of the messenger bee. Text 22. So the science of the emotions that are exchanged between gopis and Krishna are so intricate and so deep that by learning this science, which is very, very rare, one is assured of not taking these conjugal pastimes of Krishna and the gopis as mere sentiment or comparing them to ordinary, mundane affairs between boys and girls. These are the deepest spiritual emotions that can be exchanged between living beings. Pure love, Krishna prema, and deeper than that, Mahabhava, the topmost ecstasies of Srimati Radharani for Krishna, which cannot be imitated, cannot be duplicated, and can rarely be entered into. Text 22, Shukadev Goswami said, having heard this, Uddhava then tried to pacify the gopis, who were most eager to see Lord Krishna. He thus began relating to them the message of their beloved. Text 23. Sri Uddhava said, "Certainly you gopis are all successful and are universally worshipped because you have dedicated your minds in this way to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva." Purport. Although other devotees have certainly surrendered their minds unto the Lord, the gopis are unique in the intensity of their love. Text 24. Devotional service unto Lord Krishna is attained by charity, strict vows, austerities, and fire sacrifices, by japa, study of Vedic texts, observance of regulative principles, and indeed by the performance of many other auspicious practices. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains the processes described here as follows. Dana, donations given to Lord Vishnu and his devotees. Vrata, observing vows such as Ekadashi. Tapas, renunciation of sense gratification for Krishna's sake. Homa, fire sacrifices dedicated to Vishnu. Japa, privately chanting the holy names of the Lord. Swadhyaya, study and recitation of Vedic texts such as the Gopal Tapani Upanishad. Text 25. By your great fortune, you have established an unexcelled standard of pure devotion for the Lord, Uttama Shloka, a standard even the sages can hardly attain. Purport. The term pravartita indicates that the gopis brought to this world a standard of pure love of God that was previously unknown on the earth. Thus, Uddhava congratulates them on their unparalleled contribution to the religious life. Text 26. By your great fortune, you have left your sons, husbands, bodily comforts, relatives, and homes in favor of the supreme male, who is known as Krishna. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the gopis gave up their sense of possessiveness toward these objects. History shows that the gopis remained in Vrindavan, living in their houses with their families. However, unlike ordinary persons, they entirely renounced the egotistical sense of possession of sons, husbands, and so on. They never tried to enjoy them, but rather gave their whole heart and mind to the Supreme Lord, as recommended in the great religious scriptures of the world. Following the example of the gopis, we should love the Supreme Lord with all of our heart, soul, and might. Text 27. You have rightfully claimed the privilege of unalloyed love for the Transcendental Lord, O most glorious gopis. Indeed, by exhibiting your love for Krishna in separation from him, you have shown me great mercy. Purport. The gopis showed not only Uddhava, but the whole world the joy of love of Godhead, and thus they bestowed their mercy on everyone. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, because their loving devotion was executed in an appropriate way, their love brought the Supreme Lord under their control. Still, to show the intensity of their love, he apparently left them, but now he again manifested himself among them, becoming spiritually present through their intense devotion. (28) My good ladies, now please hear your beloved's message, which I, the confidential servant of my master, have come here to bring you. The Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord said, "You were never actually separated from me, for I am the soul of all creation. Just as the elements of nature, ether, air, fire, water, and earth, are present in every created thing, so I am present within everyone's mind, life, air, and senses, and also within the physical elements and the modes of material nature." Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti, the apparently philosophical language of the Lord's statement conceals a deeper meaning. The Supreme Lord was secretly telling the gopis that He, by way of reciprocating their special love for Him, was present with them, not only as the soul of all creation, but also as their special lover. In this sense of the verse, the word guna indicates the gopis' special divine qualities, which attracted Sri Krishna, and the word sarvatmana, which we have here translated in reference to Lord Krishna himself, corresponding to the word me, which is also in the instrumental case, is also understood in the sense of sarvata, or completely. In other words, although in one sense Lord Krishna was absent, he could never be completely absent, since in his spiritual form he is always in the hearts and minds of the gopis. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and other books, Srila Prabhupada has elaborately explained that the reason Lord Krishna separated himself from the gopis was to intensify their love for him, and, as Uddhava noted, to bless other devotees by revealing to them the intensity of the gopis' love. In fact, the Lord was spiritually present with the gopis, since they are his eternal associates. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti further points out that foolish persons will conclude that Sri Krishna's use of philosophical language meant that the Lord was trying to bring the gopis to the point of liberation by explaining basic points of Krishna conscious philosophy. In truth, the gopis are the most exalted, liberated souls, and their pastimes with Sri Krishna must be understood with the help of authorized acharyas. When the gopis came for the rasa dance, Sri Krishna tried to preach karma yoga to them, emphasizing ordinary ethics and morality. But the gopis were beyond that. Similarly, Lord Krishna now offers them jnana yoga, or metaphysical philosophy. But this is also inadequate for the gopis who have achieved spontaneous, unalloyed love for Sri Krishna. Text 30. By myself, I create, sustain, and withdraw myself within myself by the power of my personal energy, which comprises the material elements, the senses, and the modes of nature. Purport. Although the Lord is the supreme entity, there is no absolute duality between him and his creation, since the creation is an extension of his being. This oneness is here emphasized by the Lord. Text 31. Being composed of pure consciousness or knowledge, the soul is distinct from everything material and is uninvolved in the entanglements of the modes of nature. We can perceive the soul through the three functions of material nature, known as wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the soul, Atma, is constituted of pure knowledge, pure consciousness, and is thus ontologically distinct from the material nature. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the word Atma may also be taken to mean the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna. Since the Lord has just explained in the previous verses that all material phenomena are expansions of himself, the phrase Maya Vrittibir Iyate indicates that by studying the world deeply, we will come to the perception of God. From this point of view, also the gopis were advised not to lament. Text 32. As a person just arisen from sleep may continue to meditate on a dream, even though it is illusory, so by the agency of the mind, one meditates on the sense objects, which the senses can then obtain. Therefore, one should become fully alert and bring the mind under control. Purport. The verb pratipad means to be perceived or restored. The soul that is vinidra, free from the dreamlike condition of material consciousness, is restored to its constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord, Sri Krishna. The soul is directly perceived by pure consciousness. Text 33. According to intelligent authorities, this is the ultimate conclusion of all the Vedas, as well as all practice of yoga, sankhya, renunciation, austerity, sense control, and truthfulness, just as the sea is the ultimate destination of all rivers. Purport. Here the Lord states that all Vedic literature is meant ultimately to bring the soul to the point of controlling the mind and senses and fixing them in transcendental self-realization. Thus, processes of so-called yoga, mysticism, or religion that involve unrestricted sense gratification are not actually spiritual processes, but rather convenient ways for foolish people to justify their beastly behavior. Lord Krishna here assures the gopis that by fixing their minds in self-realization, they will realize their spiritual oneness with the Lord. Thus, they will no longer suffer the pangs of separation. Text 34. But the actual reason why I, the beloved object of your sight, have stayed far away from you is that I wanted to intensify your meditation upon me and thus draw your minds closer to me. Purport. Sometimes that which is close to our eyes is far from our heart and mind, and conversely, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Although apparently going far away from the gopis, Lord Krishna was bringing them closer to him on the spiritual platform. Text 35. When her lover is far away, a woman thinks of him more than when he is present before her. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the same holds true for men, who become more absorbed in thinking of a beloved woman when she is far away than when he is present before their eyes. When she is present before their eyes. Text 36. Because your minds are totally absorbed in me and free from all other engagement, you remember me always, and so you will very soon have me again in your presence. Text 37. Although some gopis had to remain in the cowherd village and so could not join the rasa dance to sport with me at night in the forest, they were nonetheless fortunate. Indeed, They attained me by thinking of my potent pastimes. 38. Shukadev Goswami said, the women of Braja were pleased to hear this message from their dearmost Krishna. His words having revived their memory, they addressed Uddhava as follows. The gopis said, it is very good that Kamsa, the enemy and persecutor of the Yadus, has now been killed along with his followers. And it is also very good that Lord Achyuta is living happily in the company of his well-wishing friends and relatives, whose every desire is now fulfilled. Gentle Uddhava, is the elder brother of Gada now bestowing on the city women the pleasure that actually belongs to us? I'll read that again. O gentle Uddhava, is the elder brother of Gada now bestowing on the city women the pleasure that actually belongs to us? We suppose those ladies worship him with generous glances, full of affectionate, shy smiles. Purport. The name Gadagraja indicates Krishna, the elder brother, Agraja, of Gada, the first son of Devakashita, Davirakshita. She was the sister of Devaki's, who was also married to Vasudeva. The gopis, by addressing Krishna in this way, indicate that he now thinks of himself mostly as the son of Devaki. The implication being that his connection with Vrindavan has now slackened. Because of intense love, the gopis could not stop thinking of Krishna for a moment. Text 41. Sri Krishna is expert in all kinds of conjugal affairs and is the darling of the city women. How can he not become entangled now that he's constantly adored by their enchanting words and gestures? Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, each of these verses is spoken by a different gopi. Text 42. O saintly one, does Govinda ever remember us during his conversations with the city women? Does he ever mention us village girls as he freely talks with them? Purport. The gopis were so completely in love with Krishna, without selfish motive, that even in their great disappointment, they never considered giving their love to another. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti interprets their feelings as follows. The gopis might say, surely Krishna has abandoned us because we deserve to be abandoned. Indeed, we are the most insignificant women in the world and have been rejected after having been enjoyed. Still, do we sometimes enter into his memory on account of some good quality of ours, or even because of something we did wrong? Krishna must speak very freely with the city women, and he and they must sing, joke, make riddles, and talk about so many things. Does Krishna ever say, my dear city women, your sophisticated singing and speech is unknown to the gopis in my home village? They couldn't understand these things. Does he ever speak about us even in that way? Text 43. Does he recall those nights in the Vrindavan forest, lovely with lotused jasmine and the bright moon? As we glorified his charming pastimes, he enjoyed with us his beloved girlfriends in the circle of the rasa dance, which resounded with the music of ankle bells. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti gives the following deep realization about this verse. The gopis knew that no place could be as beautiful as Vrindavan. Nowhere else in the universe could one find such a charming scene as the Vrindavan forest, which was scented with pious flowers and illumined by the full moon's light reflected from the serene waves of the sacred Yamuna river. No one loved Krishna as much as the gopis, and thus no one else could understand him as well. The gopis rendered intimate service to Krishna that only they could perfect. Thus the gopis were distraught to think that Lord Krishna was bereft of Vrindavan and bereft of their service. Free of all material lust, they were overwhelmed with disappointment because they could not give Krishna happiness by their loving service. They simply could not imagine Krishna enjoying anywhere else as he did in Vrindavan, in their company. Hare Krishna. Text 44. Will that descendant of Dasharha return here and by the touch of his limbs bring back to life those who are now burning with the grief he himself has caused? I'll read that again. Will that descendant of Dasharha return here and by the touch of his limbs bring back to life those who are now burning with the grief he himself has caused? Will he save us in that way, just as Lord Indra brings a forest back to life with his water-bearing clouds? 45. But why should Krishna come here after winning a kingdom, killing his enemies, and marrying the daughters of kings? He's satisfied there, surrounded by all his friends and well-wishers. 46. The great soul Krishna is the Lord of the goddess of fortune, and he automatically achieves whatever he desires. How can we forest dwellers or any other women fulfill his purposes when he is already fulfilled within himself? Purport. Although the gopis lamented that Krishna was associating with the city women in Mathura, they now realize that as the absolute personality of Godhead, he has no need for any women. It is out of his causeless mercy that he awards his association to his loving devotees. 47. Indeed, the greatest happiness is to renounce all desires, as even the prostitute Pingala has declared. Yet even though we know this, we cannot give up our hopes of attaining Krishna. Purport. The story of Pingala is narrated in the 11th canto, 8th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Text 48. Who can bear to give up intimate talks with Lord Uttama Shloka? Although he shows no interest in her, Goddess Shri never moves from her place on his chest. 49. Dear Uddhava Prabhu, when Krishna was here in the company of Sankarshan, he enjoyed all these rivers, hills, forests, cows, and flute sounds. Text 50. All these remind us constantly of Nanda's son. Indeed, because we see Krishna's footprints, which are marked with divine symbols, we can never forget him. 51. O Uddhava, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way he walks, his generous smile and playful glances, and his honey-like words? 52. O Master of the goddess of fortune, O Master of Braja, O destroyer of all suffering, Govinda, please lift your Gokula out of the ocean of distress in which it is drowning. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti presents the following insight into this scene. Someone might propose to the gopis, why don't you just go somewhere else? Leave Vrindavan, and then you won't have to see these rivers, mountains, and forests. Cover your eyes with your garments. Use your intelligence to lead your minds to some other thought, and thus forget Krishna. The gopis answered to this suggestion in the previous verse by stating, we no longer possess our intelligence. for Krishna has taken it away by his supreme beauty and charm. Now in the present verse, the feelings of the gopis become so strong that they disregard Uddhava and turning toward Mathura, address Krishna himself with humble cries. They address Krishna as Brajanath, because in the past young Krishna performed many inconceivable pastimes to protect his beloved village people, such as lifting Govardhan Hill and destroying many monstrous demons. In this heart-rending verse, the gopis cry out to Krishna to remember the wonderful sweet relationship they once enjoyed together as innocent village people. Indeed, Sri Krishna would lovingly take care of his father's cows, and the gopis appealed to him to remember these duties and return so he could resume them. 53. Shukadeva Goswami continued, Lord Krishna's messages having relieved their fever of separation, the gopis then worshipped Uddhava, recognizing him as non-different from their Lord Krishna. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the words Yat Vatmanam Adhokshajam also indicate that the gopis recognize Lord Krishna to be the very soul of their lives, and thus spiritually one with them. 54. Uddhava remained there for several months, dispelling the gopis' sorrow by chanting the topics of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Thus he brought joy to all the people of Gokula. Purport. The great Acharya, Jiva Goswami, comments in this regard that Uddhava, during his stay in Vrindavan, certainly took special care to enliven Krishna's foster parents, Nanda and Yashoda. 55. All the days that Uddhava dwelled in Nanda's cowherd village seemed like a single moment to the residents of Braja, for Uddhava was always discussing Krishna. 56. That servant of Lord Hari, seeing the rivers, forests, mountains, valleys, and flowering trees of Braja, enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Lord Krishna. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami points out that as Uddhava wandered about Vrindavan, he reminded Braja's residents of Krishna by asking them questions about the pastimes the Lord had performed in each of these places, namely the rivers, forests, mountains, and valleys. Thus Uddhava himself enjoyed great transcendental bliss in their association. 57. Thus, seeing how the gopis were always disturbed because of their total absorption in Krishna, Uddhava was supremely pleased. Desiring to offer them all respect, he sang as follows. Purport. Viklava, mental disturbance, should not be confused here with ordinary material distress. It is clearly stated that Uddhava was supremely pleased, and he felt this way because he saw that the gopis had attained the highest state of loving ecstasy. Uddhava was an exalted member of the court in Dwarka, an important minister in world political affairs, and yet he felt the spiritual urge to offer his obeisances to the glorious gopis, although externally they were mere cowherd girls in an insignificant village called Vrindavan. Thus, to explain his feelings, he sang the following verses. Srila Jiva Goswami states that Uddhava sang these verses daily while he was in Vrindavan. Text 58. Uddhava sang. Etak padam tanubrito bhuvigopa vadbo Govinda eva nikilat mani ruddha bhavaha Banchanti jat Bhavabiyo muniyo vayam cha kim brahma janma virananta kata rasasya. Uddhava sang, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking high birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself? Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that here the term Brahma Janmabhi, Brahminical births, refer to the threefold birth by 1. Seminal parenthood, 2. Sacred thread initiation, and 3. Sacrificial initiation. These cannot compare to pure Krishna consciousness. Text 59. Kvi makstriyo vanasharir vyabhichara dushta Krishne svachaisha paramat maniruddha bhavaha man vishwaro nan ishwaro nubhajato vidasho pisakshat treyastanotya gadarad vilo payuktaha. How amazing it is that these simple women who wander about the forest, seemingly spoiled by improper behavior, have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Still, it is true that the Supreme Lord himself awards his blessings even to an ignorant worshipper, just as the best medicine works even when taken by a person ignorant of its ingredients. Purport. The use of the word kva in the first two lines indicates a sharp contrast between apparently incompatible items. In this case, the apparently insignificant and even impure position of the gopis, mentioned in the first line, and their attainment of the highest perfection of life, mentioned in the second. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes 3 types of adulterous women. The first is the woman who enjoys both her husband and a lover, being faithful to neither. Both ordinary society and the scriptures condemn this conduct. The second type of adulterous woman is she who abandons her husband to enjoy only with her lover. Society and scriptures also condemn this behavior, although such a fallen woman may said to at least have the good quality of dedicating herself to a single man. The last kind of adulterous woman is she who abandons her husband and enjoys in the attitude of being a lover of the Supreme Lord alone. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that although foolish, common people criticize this position, such behavior is commended by those who are wise in spiritual science. Therefore, the learned members of society and the revealed scriptures praise such single-minded devotion to the Lord. Such was the gopis' behavior. Thus the term vyabhichara dushta, corrupted by deviation, indicates the apparent resemblance between the gopis' behavior and that of ordinary adulterous woman. 60. Nayam Shriyonga Unititantarate Prasada Swaryoshitam Nalinagandadacham Krutonyaha Ratsotsave Sabujadanda Grihita Kanta Labda Shisham Yaudaga Brajavalabhinam. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced by the arms of the Lord. This transcendental favor was never bestowed by the goddess of fortune or other consorts in the spiritual world. Indeed, never was such a thing even imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of a lotus flower. And what to speak of worldly women, who were very beautiful according to material estimation. Purport. The word meanings in translation for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8:80. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments as follows. Lord Krishna, the best of all avatars, exists on the highest platform of purity and morality, and thus he always remained praiseworthy by all, even while accepting worldly criticism for his cow tending, wandering in the forest, taking meals with young monkeys, stealing yogurt, seducing other men's wives, and so on. Similarly, the gopis, who were constituted of the Lord's pleasure potency, achieved the highest standard of purity and auspiciousness, even in comparison to the goddess of fortune. And thus the gopis are supremely glorious, even though they were criticized by worldly people, because they were mere cowherd women living in the forest and behaving in an apparently improper way. Text 161. Asam maho charanarenu jusham maham syam vrindavane kim abigulmad latau sadinam yadjushjajam swajanam aryapatam jahitva bejur mukunda padabim shudibir vimrigimya vimrigyam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members, who were very difficult to give up. And they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to become one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. Purport. The word meanings in translation for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 7:47. Sri Uddhava here shows the perfect Vaishnava attitude of humility. He does not pray to be equal to the gopis in their exalted stage of love, but rather to take birth as a bush or creeper in Vrindavan, so that when they walk upon him, they will get the dust of their feet and thus be blessed. The shy gopis would never agree to give such blessings to a great personality like Uddhava. Therefore he cleverly sought to get such mercy by taking birth as a plant in Vrindavan. 62. Ya vai shriyar chitam ajad virat apta kamaya yogeshwarayar apiyat atmani rasa gostyam krishnasya tad bhagavatak charanadavindam nyashtam staneshu vijahu parirabhyatapam. The goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all the other demigods, who were masters of yogic perfection, can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within their mind. But during the rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon these gopis' breasts, and by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. 63. Bande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Abhikshnashaha Yasam Harikatod Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaja's cowherd village, When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. Purport. Sri Uddhava, having established the glories of the gopis in the previous verses, now directly offers his obeisances to them. According to Sri Vaishnava Toshini, Sri Uddhava did not offer such respect even to Lord Krishna's queens in Dwarka. Shukadev Goswami said, Uddhava, Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Uddhava, the descendant of Dashara, then took permission to leave from the gopis and from Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. He bade farewell to all the cowherd men, and about to depart, mounted his chariot. As Uddhava was about to leave, Nanda and the others approached him, bearing various items of worship. With tears in their eyes, they addressed him as follows. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami points out that Nanda and the cowherd men did not approach Uddhava as a formality, but rather out of spontaneous affection for a dear friend of Krishna's. 66. Nanda and the other cowherds said, May our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. Purport. The residents of Vrindavan were firmly convinced that even if they could not have direct association with their beloved Krishna, they would never be indifferent to him. They were all topmost pure devotees of the Lord. Text 67. Wherever we are made to wander about this world by the Supreme Lord's will, in accordance with the reactions to our fruitive work, may our good works and charity always grant us love for Lord Krishna. 68. Shukadev Goswami continued, O ruler of men, thus honored by the cowherd men with expressions of devotion for Lord Krishna, Uddhava went back to the city of Mathura, which was under Krishna's protection. Purport. The word Krishna Palitam indicates that even though Uddhava became quite attached to the land of Vrindavan, he returned to Mathura because Sri Krishna was personally displaying his transcendental pastimes there. 69. After falling down to pay his homage, Uddhava described to Lord Krishna the immense devotion of the residents of Braja. Uddhava also described it to Vasudeva, Lord Balarama, and King Ugrasena, and presented to them the gifts of tribute he had brought with them. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 47th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Song to the Bee. Jai Uddhava ki jai, Shri Brajbashi Ba ki jai, Shri Gopi Ba ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Shri Krishna as the bumblebee ki jai. All glories to the residents of Raja, all glories to pure love for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Well, what can we say about that? I mean, the thing that keeps going through my mind again and again, I think I won't be able to stop speaking this point over and over again, and that is that Srila Prabhupada empowered my godbrothers to do this work. How could they translate and write in that way that could bring the emotions that were being felt to such a peak of perfection? It almost, I don't know. profounds me so much that I can't speak about it anymore. I mean, how could anyone go to any other literatures? It's so deep. How could you assimilate all of this in a lifetime? Anyway, all glories to the devotional service of Srila Ridananda Goswami and Gopi Puranadana Prabhu and Dravida Prabhu, who did such a wonderful job of editing the English of this work. Anybody who doesn't see that these devotees, after a whole lifetime of learning this art, have become so expert that they shouldn't be minimized at all. They should be glorified, and Prabhupada glorifies them. In his own words, in his own writing, many times he's praised the devotees who did this work, even before he left. What to speak of how much pleasure there must be giving him by completing his life's work, his magnum opus, with such dignity and intensity and profundity. All glories to the devotees of the Lord. All glories to my dear God brothers. Okay, I'll stop there and ask if there's any comments or reflections. It's, we're coming on to more than an hour and a half. That was a beautiful chapter. I couldn't stop. No way. No way. I had to finish it. How was the recording? Okay?
Yeah, it was good today.
Very good. Special. Do we have any comments or reflections or questions online? I think they're all feeling like we are.
Madhya said, indeed a wonderful shower of nectar. I don't know what question to ask today.
Yeah, that's how we're all feeling. You captured it, Rati. You captured it. It was just very humbling. And one thing I would say is that Krishna, in the Gita, the most confidential knowledge, which was spoken twice by Krishna in the Gita, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. This is the extreme perfection of that verse. Always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage in me, worship me. And in this way you will come to me, without a doubt. So to achieve that level of absorption and thinking of Krishna as the residents of Braja have, guarantees your perfection, guarantees you being with Krishna constantly, just by the remembrance, because remember, the pastimes of Krishna, the sound of Krishna's voice, the sound of his name, they are all non-different than Krishna. We are with Krishna when we chant Hare Krishna. And that's what Krishna was telling them. But also what they were telling him was, that's okay, but actually you have to come back because we want to embrace you. We don't. That's not going to satisfy us completely. Nice try. And that's why it controls Krishna. That's why that degree of love controls Krishna. Okay, we're going to stop here. Hare Krishna, all glories to the songs to the Bumblebee by Srimati Radharani. All glories to Uddhava's intimacy of Krishna, to be sent there and to see with his own eyes and taste with his own heart the love, the pure love and intense devotional service of the residents of Braja, especially the gopis. And we'll find out later, well, we've already read it before, but we'll find out later that Krishna sent Uddhava so that he would see that for himself. And then when he left this world, he left Uddhava alone in the world, in a sense, to he wanted to go with him, but he said, no, you have to stay here, and you have to go to Barik Ashram, which is the only place where qualified devotees were that he didn't go during his pastimes. and deliver this secret to them. There was one section there where it was describing how the gopis' glories can be understood because they came to this world to distribute that to Krishna, to everyone. And then in the end, Lord Chaitanya came, Krishna came again to show their mood through him personally as a devotee. So from every angle, their consciousness and we are eternally indebted to the nth degree. Okay, I'll stop here. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Sri Nanda Maharaj, the gopis and cowherd boys, and all the residents, the cows and calves, and all the other residents of Vrindavan, and Sri Krishna. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. We'll see you tomorrow night, same time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, here at Govardhan Hill. Hare Krishna.